Hello there, and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We are back again to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. And today, I actually want to talk about AJ, my goat. I think a lot of people's goat, honestly. But the goat, AJ, seemingly retiring in WWE. Uh, there's been a lot of speculation around that. Um, and whatnot. So, and especially with perhaps there is a big level of he is legit injured or is finding it more legit difficult to perform with the lingering injuries that he's had. So I don't know whether that was a call that he made or look again from a outside perspective, you probably couldn't tell that this guy is so banged up or whatever else it is. The guy looks like he could go for another 20 years. I don't know. This guy is amazing. For many reasons. He's phenomenal, obviously. We know this. So I don't know. We know some things, and they tell an interesting picture to some degree, right? So we know that he filed trademark for his P1 logo, and perhaps hey, he's just renewing it, but then again, it's it does, and the fact that it does happen to coincide with his semi retirement, seemingly in WWE at least, is quite interesting. I think that if it hadn't have happened at this time, we wouldn't have talked about it at all. But the fact that it happened to be the same weekend or whatever else it uh, is very interesting. The fact that when he was basically at the end of this match with Gunther, and I haven't seen the match itself or whatever else or anything like that, and I've been pretty emotional in some ways about this whole thing. But then I was starting to listen to some things and hear some people saying, "Hey, maybe it's not over. Maybe he's not done," and all of this sort of stuff. So I'm very intrigued with that. Um, so at the end of this match with Gunther, he takes off the gloves. He's about to put them on the mat. A la taking off the boots, a la whatever else you want to say about things that people do to, showcase, hey, that's it, it's done, it's over. But then he puts the gloves back on and poses. That's very interesting. And in the post show, or in the show there, Triple H and a few of the other WWE cronies are saying, hey, he's told us that he's done in the ring, but also we've heard that his WWE contract is coming up very soon, basically in the next few days after the Royal Rumble. Now, before this, he's been adamant, or he's been saying, hey, I'll be a WWE guy. Well, you could still kind of be a WWE guy as long as this TNA partnership is going on. You could do that. It's kind of a little bit sus. I don't know, but again, you could do that. You kind of could be the TNA ambassador and work with WWE. I don't know. That could work, at least for the next couple of years, because that would be the one reason to be excited about this partnership potentially continuing on, or whatever else it is, in some regard, because it's they've done nothing since doing this Trick Williams thing, and now they're all out of ideas seemingly. But then again, in some ways, I don't want them to do a whole lot of stuff with them anymore, because it is very much well, you've already done all of that stuff that you would have done to start with. And now it's well, what else can we do kind of thing. You got to get more personal, less generic, less like, oh, these are TNA people or NXT people or whatever else it is, and that sort of thing. You've got to get more like, Mike, say, drunken or former drunken, this and that and whatever else it is. He doesn't deserve to be the champion, no, or whatever, all of this sort of stuff. You've got to get more personal. You've got to get more like, no, it's about you, Mike, or whatever. Not, not just saying, oh, your company's a B grade company compared to, or D grade company compared to WWE or whatever else it is, and all that stuff. Because just saying that sort of stuff doesn't really help you. It's like, great, cool, like you're just trying to bury them even further or whatever else it is, rather than saying, yeah, this is heel heat or whatever else it is. Everyone knows that, or has that idea already of being like, yeah, TNA is smaller and WWE is bigger. Wow, don't keep going there. Do something else. Like, whatever. Don't take those cheap roads. Take the better, more personal roads or whatever. But yeah, it does excite me in some ways, but the problem I have in some ways as well is the whole AEW situation. Because you can think about like every wrestling promotion that AJ has ever been to, the one big one that he's never really gone to is AEW. And there's a lot of people that would be there that would be great opponents for him in many ways, and I'm sure he had to have some great stories or whatever else it is. But, the thing is, realistically, if you're going to bring him over there, it starts feeling like, well, you've got so many other guys and gals there that are, not getting opportunities and haven't got opportunities. And it's like, wow, well, what's bringing another person over there and then saying, oh, yeah, we might not have time, or we might not be able to actually do what we said we're going to do, or whatever else it is, or we might not find the time, or the fact that we've got to give you time sometimes means that we don't get time, even less time, for some of the people that we already didn't have much time for, or whatever else it is. So to me, obviously, again, I'm more partial to him going to TNA, but I wouldn't mind if he goes to AEW. I'm not a hater. I just think that, AEW has had this constant problem of, they bring somebody in, they're hot for 5 minutes or whatever else it is, one night, and then, okay, cool, we've forgotten about them completely. They're back in some random mix of something, and it doesn't matter what they're doing, it doesn't matter how hot they are, it doesn't matter la 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 la, or whatever else it is, because we've got too many other things to do. We've got, 20 other people to debut, and then forget about them, and whatever else it is. So it's that's been the pattern for the last 4 or 5 years, guys. Yes, they've had some things going on, absolutely, and they've made time for some things, but they've also debuted a hell of a lot of wrestlers and then been like, oh, okay, well, bye, we don't know what we're doing with you, we don't even know why we hired you now, but we hired you, and bye, whatever. That's just been the thing, and I hope that it'd be different for AJ, but I just don't see that it would be, because they've got a lot of names there, and it's great, but you don't know what to do with just about any of them. A handful of them, yes, you do, but very much like AEW right now, and for the last few years, has been very much the same old, same old. It's the same old guys. Same with WWE. I'm not want to criticize just AEW, but it's been it's the same old guys doing the same old thing that they've been doing for the last few years. It's MJF, it's Hangman, it's the Bucks, it's this and that and whatever else it is that have been doing the same things for the last few years. It's Moxley doing this, these people doing that, da 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 da. It's the same thing year after year. Same with WWE. They're still doing stuff with like Roman, with Sami Zayn, with Jey Uso, and all those guys. They haven't moved on. They haven't gone, okay, cool, we're going to build some new guys or whatever else it is, and we're going to focus in on those guys, or we're really going to focus in on those guys. Like when, what's his name in WWE? The Bear, not Bear Bronson, say Bear Bronson. Bronson Reed. I can't remember what his name is in WWE. But yeah, like he had that thing with Roman and all of that. That seemed like that could have gone somewhere, and now it's gone nowhere, and he's just sort of in the mix and just kind of there and part of the furniture. So it's like, oh, okay, great. You had Braun Breaker there. He was starting to get over. He was starting to do some like big things, and then you sort of like, oh well, we'll move you over here, and now we're sort of starting to forget about you or whatever. Like, so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, again, this like obviously like TNA is a bigger, more open place for many reasons. But like it is such a big open place, and they always like, yes, to say, oh, we're gonna make time for you, so we're gonna like not make time for somebody else. Yeah, sure, that's always the case. But when you say, hey, we've got young Leon Slater here, and we've got a young Mike Santana here, and we've got AJ Francis here. There's a big feud there that they could have. There's a bunch of like old feuds that he could have, obviously, as well. I don't want to just say he should have those old feuds or whatever else it is, because again, like I do feel like people have seen those things. People have seen AJ and Kazarian for years, for decades. And maybe to do some stuff, like at some point, yeah, sure, but like also try to do some newer matches, like doing newer matches or doing newer feuds or whatever else it is would be the thing that people wanted. And obviously, like again, I don't know if Carlos and the team can pull it off, but they haven't really pulled the trigger on a whole lot of things realistically. So maybe this is what they've been sort of saving their money for. They've been kind of like, okay, we really need to sound like, if we can talk to AJ and say, hey, AJ, do you want to come and wrestle for us for like a handful of matches, some high profile stuff, whatever, and retire here or whatever, or what? I don't know. But like, again, that's where I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he could do some stuff being a manager, obviously, but like no one and their dog really wants to see that unless it's like leading somewhere. So again, it's like, I don't know, but it starts becoming like, I don't know. He could do anything he wants to do. Dude, like, if he wants to go to AEW, that's up to him. If he wants to legitimately retire, that is up to him. And it does make me a bit sad, or whatever else it is, if he's legit retired, because I would like to have seen him in TNA and have one proper last big match, or whatever else it is, one last big run, or whatever else it is. But again, like, there's so many options ahead of him if he decides to leave WWE. I think that there are still some people in WWE that he could work with and could do some stuff with, or whatever else it is, absolutely. But I think in WWE, at least, you would say that his career is over, because, like, at a certain point, it's like, well, you could turn this into an angle, I guess, still, like, further down the line, but, like, it feels like you have already moved past it, and you needed to do this to help Gunther become, like, this bigger deal and whatnot, and then you're gonna do some stuff with him at Mania. But, like, if he's, like, to me, like, unless he's retiring, like, somebody or whatever else, and somebody big, it's like, well, so what, type thing. And it's only like Brock Lesnar, maybe Randy Orton. I feel like you could retire Orton before that. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. People still want to see Orton and Cody, but like, I think we could still not see. And I know how banged up Orton is, so it's like, like maybe let's just say, hey, let's get you to retire, buddy. Like, Gunther needs this, and it would help him out to, go into Mania with another big win and retiring somebody like that, and then beat Lesnar and then retire him or whatever else it is, those sorts of things. And then like next year starts and you start saying, oh well, not next year, but like the next calendar year sort of starts after WrestleMania, and you start saying, okay, let's find a way to get the title back onto Gunther. Let's have him be the top guy for a while. Let's, have him, like, people coming to him, like, and retire some of them, like, especially older performers or whatever else it is, or performers that are, sort of on the way out of WWE. Because again, like saying, hey, somebody's out, fired or retired or whatever from WWE, like Ric Flair retired from WWE, then he wrestled in TNA. Mick Foley retired in WWE, like he retired several times in WWE, but then he appeared in TNA. People didn't like I know people somewhat qualmed about Ric Flair wrestling in TNA, but like I don't think many people qualmed that much about like Foley doing it. I don't think they qualmed too much about like some other people that have kind of done it. So I don't think, I think people would be too happy to see AJ in TNA or even in AEW and doing matches. So the idea that somebody was coming up with, like, saying that WWE was trying to cover their asses or, say, hey, if he's lying to us about retiring here, he's going to lie about retiring with you there or whatever else it is, and all that sort of stuff to try to, jep his retirement, potential tour or whatever else it is, for somebody like Styles, for me, like, you would have to have a good 6 months or year for him to be like telling this same story, of I've got to retire, but before I retire, I want to do this one big thing before I retire. I want to go up against all the people that, like, have meant something in my career that I can still wrestle that aren't retired. You think like Samoa Joe, you think Kazarian, like those guys, like maybe Daniels is retired, unfortunately, but then again, like, people don't stay retired sometimes, like, again, so you could say, oh yeah, let's pull him out of retirement and do the unbreakable 3-way thing again. Like, it's not impossible for him to have not retired, obviously, but, and I wanted to come and talk about it because I'm genuinely curious, and this is the most curious I've been about this whole thing, because it's like, if you're gonna retire, you retire, dude. Like, you don't half retire. So I don't know, dude. I remember, like, when AJ was in TNA, like a long while back, really, people were chanting one more match, and he said, effectively, I'll get back to that. That's interesting. That's really interesting, because that, maybe he changed his mind. Who knows? I don't know. You can, like, not change his mind exactly, but maybe his physical condition is telling him, no more. That's it. Let's get this done. Let's be finished. Let's just, do some stuff backstage, or let's like do whatever else, but no more wrestling. That's it. We're done. Um, I don't know, dude, but this is the most interested I've been in it because it's like there is potential there. I am hopeful. Like, obviously, like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen type thing. And I am gonna be sad if it doesn't happen. But at a certain point, you've got to be like, all right, it didn't happen. All right, well, that sucks, but what else is there to look forward to, kind of thing, sort of thing. You have to start going, okay, well, what else is there to look forward to? So yeah, you've got to look at things like that. You've got to be like, no, we've got to look at, the positives, or at least look at, and I know like a sordid history in TNA and whatnot, and they want to whitewash some of the, or not whitewash, but they want to wash some of the things and say, hey, he was always the face of the company. And in many ways, he certainly was, no matter what. But yeah, like he was always somewhat underrated, really, in TNA. And I think, that's one of the reasons why it would be nice as well to be like, hey, we give you one last main event sort of level run, or something like that, as well. Like, and to me, again, like, if he could, he should wrestle one more time, at least one more time in TNA. And obviously he should go into the TNA Hall of Fame. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, anything is possible in wrestling. And if if the guys there have any sense of like chance to make it happen for the TNA fans, even if AJ goes to AEW for 6 months or whatever else it is, I don't know. Or even if he I don't care if he goes to AEW after he does stuff in TNA. I don't know whether he would. Maybe you could say, hey, let's go back to working with AEW, and he can work some dates in AEW, he can work some dates in TNA, I don't know, or do some sort of, super clash of the shows of some sort. I don't know. And like, again, you could still say, hey, he's technically sort of working with WWE, which he said he would, or he's working in a role that serves WWE. So I don't know. But yeah, like, it is interesting to think about, and to like, obviously there's a handful of like dream matches or whatever, but there's obviously a few opponents that I think make sense as well. So it's like, maybe that wouldn't be some people's dream match or whatever else it is, but I still think that it would be something that, is out there and is a good match to sort of have, or a good feud to have in many ways. And I think that you can see that in the way that they're building some of these things around, like saying, well, maybe we've already talked to AJ, and maybe we've got a little agreement. I mean, again, maybe not, but again, obviously you could slot him into many different things there. And same for AEW, but like, I haven't really watched anything there, and it's like you never have stories, or basically never have these sorts of stories anyway. So it's like, how would you know? People just appear and then they sort of basically just disappear again. So, but yeah, like, I would certainly be interested in all of that, and I think the wrestling fans would be too, even if it is short term or whatever else it is. So yeah, but it's ultimately up to AJ, I think, if he's truly retired, and maybe we have to look back on this in a few months' time or whatever else it is, or even in a few years' time. I don't know. Um, But like at this point, you've got to say what a freaking career like he has had. Like even if this is not the end, literally, like again, you feel like man, this guy, you know, changed wrestling, went to New Japan, became basically the face of New Japan um, for the time that he was there. Went to WWE, became one of the new faces of WWE, sort of thing. Um, yeah, did some amazing stuff there. So yeah, I just I just think that it's from his actions and from like some of the little things that you say, oh well, you know, he has still the ability to go out there and do it. Obviously, it's up to him to say, hey, all right, I just need to do this, or I just need to do that. Will Ospreay is there. Kenny Omega is there. I've never really wrestled them, like, really, and whatnot. There's still so many loose ends there. I still kind of want to wrestle Kazarian one last time, one of my best friends. I want to wrestle Samoa Joe, one of my best friends. I want to wrestle whomever, from TNA besides like Leon and whatever. So again, there's so many people that I could wrestle with. Is it better to leave people wanting more? Absolutely. But again, like trying to say, let's at least do some of these, or whatever, would be something that I would want to do 100%, if I could. Absolutely. So I think that's something that AJ might want to do. But anyway, guys, those are just my thoughts, and I hope that it's not over for him, but if it is over, I think we have to celebrate AJ's amazing, phenomenal career, his amazing, phenomenal wrestling that he's given us over the last 20 plus years. So yeah, like he, if nothing else, he is deserving of a TNA Hall of Fame induction. Absolutely, 100%. Um, and obviously, we hope that he can come back and do stuff, but that's all we can do. Hope. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, guys, hope you've enjoyed this one, and hope you join me again in another one.